judicial findings. The juror's contentions. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I've simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. You can trust the guild. Fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices for 4 pence in 4 years. The scoundrels telling that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief. I'm starting to wish I hadn't butchered this now. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them, and use some very persuasive language. Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works. Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, they've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments. What do you mean? Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. And they appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see. So it's the contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then. This is similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Alright, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off. Can we start the proceedings, counsel? I would ask that you take a stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal. Yes, my lord. Whoa. Jury examination. Oh boy. The defense's rebuttal. There was no one else in the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. Trust the driver. 4 passengers. He stuck the chap next to him like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. Simply typed all the statements, drawn the logical conclusion. Trust the guild. Raise prices above 4 pence. She said 4 pence too, right? Totaling 20 pence. Well, 20 times... I mean, 4 times 4 is 16, so that doesn't make sense. So we can pit these guys against each other, right? Because he said he stabbed him next to him. Well, she says it stabbed him on the floor. Right? The 2 statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, counsel. Post haste. Oh, dearie me. I was only knitting a jumper for my other half. What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from the more than one witness that they alleged saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3. What? Can't you see I'm busy here? How could you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Ha! Want to test me, do you? It was like this. Stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up, just like the perm banker said. Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony, quite true. Now then, juror number 6. Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do you for, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam? Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it. It was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Now don't move. Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions. What? It's my stitches. What a muddle. What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. Oh. But why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, they may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies. Ooh, we got 1 score on the white side. Hehe. The scales. I don't believe it. Oh, yeah. Wait. Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this? Answer me this, stock chinks. Huh? Me? What exactly is the problem? What of it, if 2 witnesses have slightly different recollections of events? What of it? Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he sat next to him on the omnibus. And this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed to the floor and then the Shylock stabbed him again. And this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, hmm? Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you. Ugh, they're ready to kill each other now. But could the foreman of the jury be right? The 2 witnesses see 2 different moments of the same crime. So I don't think so. Let's actually check all our evidence. First of all, let's examine just from top to bottom. Armband. An armband I inherited from Kazuma identifies the wearer as a defense lawyer throughout the Empire of Japan. Oh. Let me observe this, I guess. Kazuma Asugi, his name inside the band. The lawyer's name is embroidered on the inside here, look. Kazuma Asugi. This was his band, of course. He had his heart set on his study in the tour in Great Britain. I'm sure he would have found the truth he longed for here. But he lost his life even before he had the chance to see the place. Such strong sense of hopes. I have such a strong sense of his hopes and dreams when I look at his armband, though. Very cool. These are the scales of justice. They're a symbol of the defense, aren't they? Yes, that's right. The scales are the symbol of fairness to show that all are treated equally in the eyes of the law. And they're a warning to those who enter the courtroom without an impartial mind. But if they're the mark of the defense, it would be more auspicious if they were weighing more heavily on the not guilty side, I think. Very impartial, I'm sure. Ha 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 ha. Okay, cool. Alright, let's look at all the evidence just to make sure. Single stab wound, yeah. Victim, thrice-fired mason, 54, brickmaker. Time and cause of death, 15th February, 10 to 11. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife whilst journeying in an omnibus. Died to an internal hemorrhaging resulting from the trauma. Crime scene photographed. So while he was sitting. And from the front, too, not from the side. The blood stain. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with our first day in London. Well, nothing will come of grumbling now. No. By the way, is Mr. McGillen right-handed? Yes, I believe so. He was toying with his coin with his right hand a little earlier. Ah, pity. If only he'd be left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. They've done that trick a couple times in Phoenix Wright games where it's like, well, he was left-handed, so he couldn't have done it with this hand. Which is kind of funny. Okay, nothing else special in here. Omnibus. Let's take a look at that last, I think. Murder weapon. That part is the sheath, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Hmm? Oh, sorry, yes, I don't really like blades. Oh. Those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist. That's not a blade, that's a Kazuma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. Whoa. Interesting. Ugh, that looks like a lot of blood. It surely is blood. The victim's. Ugh, the Englishman's blood looks a lot like Japanese man's blood. Did you think it wouldn't? Sorry, it's just that we've only arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust. Yes, I do understand. Oh, this is the... It could have been a W. Oh. An ornate letter M. Undeniably Mr. Magnus's gilded initial. And it's beautifully gilded too. It must be very valuable, I should think. Ah, what is it? Look at this M. If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W. This could change everything. W? Yes, this is one of those, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it. I'm afraid I don't know at all, but what I'm sure of is that this is an M. Oh, well, that idea was quickly washed. Why? Why can't it be a W, huh? It could be a W. Okay, there's nothing else, I guess. Debtor's ledger. Okay, let's open it. This portfolio must contain all secrets from London's gentry. Oh dear, do you really think we ought to look inside? Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Far from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder. I assure you will not find Mr. Sholmes' name inside. Well, let's see what we'll find. Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off. Ah, goodness! What is it? Look at this! Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay. Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually. Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment. Oh, yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name in there? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible that this is just coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information. Oh, okay. Among the defendant's listed debtors is Bruce Fairplay, who would have been due to repay his loan imminently. That's a good point. So I could... This was all the same, right? I'm pretty sure. Let's just check. Okay, yeah, this is all the same. They even shortened the text rate, that's nice. Oh, okay, we can totally look at this. Okay, this is perfect. It's good information we need. So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up here. So people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with the cold air rushing past them. They have to pay money to do so? I can't imagine how cold it must feel. That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in a freezing cold as punishment? Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late. Ha 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 ha. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, there's a lamp inside in the enclosed cabin, so I'm sure the witness could have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us. Okay. Anything different here? This is all the same, right? Okay. Let's check the door inside, I think. Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? The scene of a murder, it's horrible. Okay. The seat looks reasonably soft, but it's actually rather hard when you sit on it, and only just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side, really. Of course, an English gentleman would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated in here. A woman in kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? It's true. Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Ooh, the Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. Okay. I wonder if this seat would say anything different? Probably not. Yeah, same. What's this? The seat has a handle, it seems. Oh, compartment. This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Feeding tubs, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems. There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to store their luggage, that's for sure. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. Okay. Anything else? I don't want to go outside yet. No handle here. What's this? Ah, that's a poster for the Great Exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exhibition. Okay, that's the same, I think. Seems like. Anything special about the windows? Nope. Okay, let's examine the blood, I guess. That's the blood soaked into the seat, the victims, obviously. Yes. And that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab somebody in full view of the other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, it was after dark. And there was a lamp on here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. Which, whatever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. Okay. Lamp? Ah, lamp. Ah. Oh, that's a poster thing, okay. Skylight? It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? Yes, quite a large enough to afford a good view into the cabin of the roof deck. And there doesn't appear to be a handle or a catch of any description. Suppose it can't be opened from the inside of the cabin, at least. Okay. Guess we'll head out then. Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside then. Okay, let's look at the rest of the thing, if we can find any more things to inspect. Nope. Not really. Phoenix Wright Omnibus. Ha 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 ha. Okay. So we looked at everything. That's fine. Did the two of us see 2 different moments of the same crime? That's out of the question. There's only one stabbing. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. Hmm? What is it, you dark jinx? Come on, out with it. What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question. What? What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job. As a foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where is your evidence, man? That's what people want to see. I say the 2 witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me some proof. Looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that 2 witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime, as proven by the autopsy report. This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once. Only once? It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely 1 time. Which means these witnesses can't have possibly seen it happen 2 different times. Alright. I concede defeat. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruto. You did it. We can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds. We can force the trial to continue. 2 more, actually. There is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. That's where you must strike next. So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. You could do it. Well, scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination. I'm no lover of the rich, but I despise liars even more. Innocence is my call, for now at least. Okay, so he's on our side. So it's this one versus this one. Because there's, she said 20 pence each. Because that means 5 times 4. But there's only 4 people. So 4 times 4 is 16. Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other. They do? Explain yourself, Counsel. Me? Oh dear, what have I said? I swear on Silver Blaze's maiden name, I haven't the slightest idea what you're talking about. According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, it took 20 pence in fares. Quite right. I've had those precise details neatly typed here in front of me. And the juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. That it is a fair and convenient single price, just the way London carriages should be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? 4 passengers carrying 4 pence each, if you do the multiplication. Ah! It would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare? Yes. In other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible. There was another passenger we've heard nothing about. Good gracious. This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is a watchword. The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy. I beg your pardon? Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he let some nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Alright then, how do I make so that this miserable trial doesn't end, Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire into the inside of the set of scales. Now hold your horses there, coachman! We're all in agreement. Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo. Kaboosh, yeah. Go us. Ugh, this is all very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir. I'm going to do the same. I like how everybody likes to hit tables in this game. Iggy Objection! Hold it. Slam, slam, slam. For the love of Mike, not you as well. A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Wait, that means forgers are now leaning to not guilty. We've done it, Mr. Nadahuddle. We've won. What are you playing at, you Dundee fool? Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me. Well, we had a consensus. I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. If the chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. Please tell me he's a barber. Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there's no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate, and the trial must continue. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places. I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. Whew, that was tough. Well, it wasn't tough, but, you know, slightly stressful. Almost ending the trial. So, Lord Van Zieks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please. Oh my gosh. Your cup, having savored the rich aroma of the calming contents of this hallowed chalice. It may seem crass to crush it into dust, for I forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zeeks. Ugh, is it cold in here or is it just me? As your antiquated tomb, no doubt says. Tome, no doubt says. The prosecution may not speak during a summation examination, so I honoured a deathly silence and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. He just called them all stupid. Well, no matter. There's nothing so hard as to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No. Why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let's proceed to the next round of battle. Bring forth the witnesses once more. Witnesses. I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure. Oh, yes, sir. That I did, sir. Of course I heard it. Oh, yes, sir. I heard it. You, sir, on the end, the coachman. I believe it's Beppo. Yes, sir, my lord. Sir? If it transpires that in your previous testimony you were attempting to veil the presence of a fifth passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir. Oh mio Dio. Oh. Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. We'll explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination. Witness testimony. Alright, so I'm going to pause here. I will take a bathroom break, and I will be back. Alright, various misgivings. I only carried for 4 passengers that night, I swear, but... Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus. He filled us on the fare, he did, and then I saw that blood coming inside as well. It's all too much. I tell you, I saw Mickled stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands. Oh, yes. Yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes. Counsel, make sense of this for me, please. The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cossonage. Beppo, explain yourself. The terror beast is already killed, master. The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board, you know that. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging passengers by a penny a fare? It's so cold that the last run of the day is always half empty. You have been dishonest, coachman. I'm so sorry. You're a disgrace, Beppo, a disgrace. And your selfless action have brought dishonor on the entire guild. If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week. What? 4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently. No, that figures. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings have already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. We've already had the pleasure of the protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely. Alright. I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear it. But... told to pay 5 pence. Fiddles us on the fare. Everything I said before stands. Oh yes. I think so, yes. Let's press on this. Earlier, you testified that you saw the victim. You saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Oh, yes, that's right. But what's that face? Joto. Mr. First. Oh, how can I help you, sir? That last statement, did it trouble you in some way? Oh, not particularly, sir, no. If anything, it's troubling me with that hat of his. Has he greased his head? Oh dear, sir. Oh, my hat's not troubling you, sir. I'm still just an apprentice, you see. Mr. Naruhodo, even the witnesses can see what's going on through your mind. You really must be more careful. Ugh, wish it were that simple. Oh, so that was just his expression, I guess. Okay. Not long ago, this trial nearly came to an end. Somehow we managed to keep our chances alive here. I can't waste this cross-examination. I have to use it to bring some new facts to light. If you're not careful when you press these witnesses, the danger is that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful as they did before. Maybe, but we can't let the fear of that happening stop us from uncovering important new information. Yes, you're so right. I need to pay careful attention here. I don't want to miss even a flicker of a reaction among these witnesses. Remember, if you happen to spot one of the witnesses reacting in a strange way, don't hesitate to pursue them as to the reason. Okay. I only carried forward passengers that night. Hold on. Oh, I can only pursue once I press them first. Okay, so that was that expression earlier. So I want to continue on this line of questioning for a second. Okay. That's right. They said that the victim was on the floor. And described the assailant holding a knife in an ice pick grip. I suppose. See, he's not sure though. I might have, you know, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe. What's this? Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was just driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats on the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was Misa. Then when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor, and the knife was sticking out from his midriff. In the photo, he's on the floor, right? That's right, yes, and the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes. So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all. I really thought that I did, but when I go over it again in my head, no. I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I? Oh, okay. So then we do this. So it's very obvious. I wasn't sure if it was going to be that way. Do you have anything to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? Some days are like that. I mean, he was driving the carriage, right? I don't think so. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on the top of an omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. I know what I saw. I remember as clear as a Ballarat day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me, I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that all right. I'll tell you just how grim it was. You think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after that butcher stabbed the man? Well, it wasn't his hands, right? Do we just present here, I guess? I guess we can, right? Blood-soaked hands? Well, I admit that soaked might be laying out a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay. But that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilden, on the night in question. Oh, yes. Right. There certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But, I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. He just bit his thing. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. But, no, that can't be right. So you're the liar here, then? That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said, it was both hands. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed. But is that really the truth? It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands. It was only one. But the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused. No. Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands. Which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gotcha snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case? Mr. Nuttall, though, we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying. Could turn the tide in this trial completely. Something to show this man has compelling reason to lie in his testimony. Which you do have. I have evidence. My lord. Yes, counsel? The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove, are you sure? Yes. Evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court. Kabam! Could I? This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilden. Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? No. It's barely worthy of being called a debt. According to this letter, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Well, what of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilden were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw? An devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant. All these grunting sounds. Order! 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 Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord. Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you, or did you not, see the precise moment in time in which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. All right. Let's not make a melodrama of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGilden's hands, both of them. And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. So you keep saying. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir. Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think... yes. I'm most sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What? It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did see and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yeah. Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The corner of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. What the witnesses really saw. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. I didn't actually see anything myself, no, not until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains. There can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have been seen. Well, lo and behold. In truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly... there's no one else inside the carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony is about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there's no substantial, no significant change in the facts of the case. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord. What the witnesses really saw. Blood on both hands of the assailant. You distinctly remember that. Didn't see the exact moment. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both the attacker's hands with blood on them. So they both saw the blood on both hands, right? Oops. I was gonna read the last phrase again. Mr. Valley didn't see Mr. Mason being stabbed at all. That's a hugely significant change in the facts of the case. And there's something else that occurred to me whilst listening to the witnesses' latest testimony. Two of them were recounting what they saw through the skylight in the omnibus roof. I know it's a large window that certainly affords a good view of the inside, but... well, I think perhaps we ought to confirm what they're saying with our own eyes as much as possible. What do you mean? Maybe we can examine the evidence firsthand. The omnibus is here in the courtroom, after all. That's a good idea. We can consider the witnesses' statements while we're looking around. Okay, so I guess maybe we should look at the thing again. So, let's take a look at the carriage again. Maybe we'll find new information now that we're in a different segment of the cross-examination. I don't know if we'll find new information, but let's try. Victims, obviously. Doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. I don't know. We did look at everything already. Maybe we should just continue pressing the witnesses. But I don't know. I feel like somebody could hide in here, but maybe that's just me. Yeah, all the repairing tools. And then this is just a sign. Yeah, I don't think there's anything new here. I think we looked at everything. Let's just continue pressing, I guess. And the other thing is, like, I think people with all their hats on, you wouldn't be able to see over from the top, right? It'd be hard to see people's faces. Okay. No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record. I'm well aware of that, sir, but nevertheless. I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands. He's defiant even in the face of hard evidence. He steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw, but why? The reasoning is dire. One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers. Okay, so we didn't see the exact moment. Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance, as you all know. But for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could have possibly done it. I was just trying to save us all some time. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? How'd you hope to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty? That's not entirely what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse in the derby, that's all. I was going to win it all back. There's a fixture in this weekend, that's a sure thing. A little guinea or 10? I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir. His witness scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work? I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. You definitely saw that too? Blood on both hands? Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. Gilded's gloves has any signs of blood on it. That's right. The first thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGill sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir. I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark colored stain on the dark leather gloves couldn't have been easy to see. Wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilded's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands. This is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow, I'm sure of it. I didn't actually see anything myself, no. Not until I heard that scream. You didn't see anything? Oh, yes, sir. That is to say, sir, no, I didn't. I'm very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and say that I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir? I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say that you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir. I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you, must have enjoyed a good view of the London streets, no? Oh, please. You didn't even see that? It was so cold that night, you see. All I could do keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir. It would seem prudent to avoid travel in the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo! Wow! Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside the carriage, or we all would have seen. Well, I guess this is where we point out that there's a hiding space, right? And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight of the roof on the omnibus? That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yes, I remember. I was shivering. It was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh? Why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked. That's right. And it's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play. Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below. Well, I can assure you I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring, long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence. And if there was anyone else at all in the cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? That's a hard question. I mean, I think so, right? They would have been able to see everything. Right? Might not have been able to. How would they not have been able to? That is the question. How would they not have been able to if that was the thing? Because, I mean, I guess I can see inside, right? If I look. Well, I don't know. I mean, let's just go with the bottom one just to see. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You're riding this omnibus. No one witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight in the floor of the upper deck, is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there's a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? By golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Okay, so he must be talking about the space under the seat. Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting this potential extra passenger could have situated? Okay, so let's check which side it was, really quick. So it wasn't the side with blood, it was the side with the handle, which is the right side. Okay. Okay. Right here, right? Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of the travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin which the passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight is as I've drawn here. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Ugh. It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In the British court of law, evidence is paramount. You cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Nadahoda? I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? Ooh. Can we examine people? Okay, let's actually look at this list because we haven't done this yet. Male strong card, the Lord Chief Justice who wields absolute authority in judicial matters, including the appointment of lawyers. He is thoroughly intimidating man. Magnus McGilded, the defendant in the case. He's an incredibly wealthy philanthropist with a wonderful reputation in London. I'm to defend him as a test of my worthiness to become a lawyer. Mark Van Zeeks, a prosecutor known as the Reaper of Bailey. Reaper of the Bailey. Supposedly the souls of those he prosecutes are eternally damned one way or another. Mason, the victim, a skilled but poor brickmaker who apparently owed the defendant a considerable sum of money. Beppo, the driver of the omnibus on which the murder took place. He is an eyewitness to the incident. Bruce Fairplay, a gentleman who works as a city banker. He witnessed the incident from his seat on the roof deck of the omnibus. Lady First, an apprentice milliner who witnessed the incident from his seat on the roof deck of the omnibus. Okay, so who could have been sitting there, right? I mean, we don't know yet, right? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? I mean, we don't know, right? I literally have no idea. But as a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, we will look to the sky and walk on, make sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on. This isn't the case of going on, Mr. Seto. Alright then, I'll go on. The defense would like to put forward a name. You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Does not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder. Okay. The person occupying the bus was scared from view. I mean, these are both on the roof deck, right? He was the driver. I don't know, do I just say Magnus McGilded? Because we don't have anybody else. Or the victim. It's either the defendant or the victim. Well, I guess I just have to say it, right? The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded. Mr. McGilded? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant. Oh my gosh. If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zeeks. People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East, having learning and a culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of an art this backwater, such as yourself, might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise on which the case is built. But that premise may be wrong. What? But the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded. It creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim. Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains. The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and the testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside that victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them. And who was this third party? Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary. Order, order, order. What exactly are you postulating? The defendant's postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused. But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes. The tops of the heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though. Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. What particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First? I'm afraid I don't remember. Can you call yourself a hatter? The style of the hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger on that cabin. How can you be so sure? Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGilded, would undoubtedly have offered to dispose the fact. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. The accused failed to even notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he travelled. He's right. There was another person travelling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. It's inconceivable that Mr. Gilded would have been unaware of it. Order. There's clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? Prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, he will already have made a full statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify? Or not? I mean, he's the only one who would have been able to see who was inside, right? If there was another person. We have to ask him. That's the only way to get that information. Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Yes, I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say. Get the man out here, I say. It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony. When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild. Hearing what the patron of my favourite little park has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Very well, the court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once. Oh my gosh, I have to summon my Irish accent again. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, we've been listening to the discourse of the day. Alright, I'm so sorry. I have to take another break really quick. 1 second. You hate this music, I'm sorry. Okay, it's almost over. To be sure, I have, my lord. There are now 2 matters on which the court desires to hear from you. Sorry, we do listen to this music. Okay, the first. is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin, as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police? Begad, no. 'Tis not my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the questions, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell you all, or do I keep my mouth shut? It's coming back just a tiny bit. I need to bring it back. It was a little bit better earlier. How's what, Mr. McGilded? The fine fellow representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger. It's true. Aye, and 'twas me who helped the urchin get away after it all happened. You... what? No, Magnus McGilded. That convenient Zeus can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, so I am, Lord Van Zeeks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was? Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not anyway involved, you see. What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They have hauled her into this here courtroom just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and minds are easily damaged, my lord. And who was this young child of whom you speak? That I don't know. You don't know? Aye, well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since. We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statements to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin is here in this courtroom as we speak, listen to the proceedings. What? Smoke! Fire! There's a fire! Look, someone's trying to get away! After them, it's no use. I can't see anything through all the smoke. What's going on? Be careful, Mr. Nettle, though. Cover your face! Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. What the heck? We're hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. And amidst the scenes of chaos, as people sunder over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. Wow. Alright. You know, it is getting pretty late. I think this is actually might be a good place to stop. Because I don't know if we can do more of the story in like 15 minutes. So I will call that good, and we will continue the story next time. But yeah. So that was Ace Attorney, and thank you all so much for watching. And we'll definitely continue this next time. And maybe I'll try practicing my Irish accent. Ha 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 ha. But anyways. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.